wife.
Yours truly, Dr. Rhonda Travitt. We're coming at you, coming to you, coming for you today.
As you can tell, we've changed locations just a little bit, but we're still yet comfortable. But we're gonna get into something very, very serious today. An awesome topic that I believe that everyone should call in. Make sure that if you're unable to call in, actually we're doing YouTube tonight, so send all of your questions that you have via YouTube. We'll make sure that we answer them all tonight in this show. Um, but we're going to discuss an epidemic that is not just in Atlanta, although we have stats for Atlanta, but this is worldwide. We're talking about the AIDS epidemic. So we're definitely going to get into that tonight. So again, while you guys are viewing, we ask you please tune in YouTube and send all your questions through YouTube, 108 Praise Radio YouTube, and we'll ensure that we answer them all tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining in today. Um, the AIDS epidemic in Atlanta is at an all-time high. Back in 2016, the CDC gave a report stating that it was as bad as a third world country, and that was in 2016. So this is 2 years later. And one of the reasons why we chose to do this topic today is because so many people are, lonely and single and just all the different things that's going on. So we wanted to bring awareness to our country because, I mean, our city, our state. Because if statistics state that 1 in 51 Georgians will have AIDS or HIV in a lifetime, then we have to start as a community, as a city, as a state, and begin to become more informed about what's really going on. Honey, I really think we have to become informed about what's going on. Downtown Atlanta is known as a third world country, more than Zimbabwe.
Wow.
So we have to bring awareness. And I think everybody thinks that it won't happen to me. And so when I begin to do some more research into it, these are young people, and the majority of them, and one of the reasons, especially, is we've got to bring awareness to the black community, especially. That we've got to wake up, strap up, whatever we do, pray up, do whatever we need to do to bring awareness to this. Because we having so many babies out of wedlock, and then young mothers, and this age group is at a between 18 to 27
Wow.
is the highest bracket. So we really have to see and just discuss. I know it's a spiritual problem as well, because sin is sin, and God said, fornication, adultery. But let's get to the heart of the matter. With all the statistics, what is it that makes us think that this won't happen to us?
And I think it's just that what you were saying about it's that processing that it won't happen to us. Because when you're out there, you're living, you drinking, you're doing whatever, you're clubbing, you're partying, and those moments of pleasure for the most part, it's just that we will rarely factor in the long term effects of that one decision that we make. And the thing about it is, I think what makes it so dangerous is that you know, um, people that are infected, they don't walk around with the sign on the outside saying that they are infected. So it may be a person that, as they used to say back in the day, look clean or look, like they don't have
Mm-hmm.
anything. How do you know what that looks like? Who's it?
Exactly.
What does HIV look like? I didn't know HIV had a look. So I think, like you said, we really have to make sure that we educate the people because that's really what it boils down to. It's a lack of education.
Exactly. I think we're in this stage, and back in the days when we thought, or we looked at the movie Philadelphia with Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington, when AIDS was not as treatable per se.
Mm-hmm.
So people begin to lose weight rapidly. And so you're looking for a skinny, frail person.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's not like that anymore because there's medications that people are taking, but that does not take away the virus.
Right.
It
Yeah.
doesn't take it away.
Yeah.
And we have to be aware that AIDS has no look.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, she looks clean, she dresses well, or he dresses well. It doesn't come in an economic bracket. It's not in a geographical location. Demographics has nothing to do with it. Has everything to do with um, being informed and knowing your worth.
Right.
And if you're gonna take risk, just don't take those type of risk
Mm-hmm.
without proper precautions. When I say precautions is to just wait. And my thing is this: if it's 1 in 51, we need to be doing some research, people. You
Mm-hmm.
need to be doing some research. When you decide to date somebody and it becomes serious, because going in bed with somebody like 2 or 3 weeks, I mean, your accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Come on. And the majority of the blacks that were infected were females.
Wow.
Come on. I mean, my heart's saying, women, we've got to do better. We've got to become more informed. And you got to know your worth.
I agree.
2 or 3 weeks, a month, and
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the consequences of it for a lifetime. And this was not somebody that you even cared about like that to spend a lifetime with.
Mm-hmm.
The days of one night stands and etc. I feel like they're far, 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 far removed.
No, that's the thing there, though. I mean, it's that's the end thing. Sex is the end thing. And I don't just put it on, those that are unaware. I also fault media. I also fault, certain videos. I fault those that push, perversion, seduction, sex, and it's almost like, a setup
Wow.
waiting to happen. So if I continue to keep pushing this, if I show shoe commercials and I'm pushing seduction, if I show a car commercial and pushing sex, then, that's what is being processed throughout the entire time. So, it's kind of like one of those, like they say, that message, that hidden message, or a hidden agenda. What lies between the lines. So when you get out and start living and dating, you're trying to figure out why this thing is in my head, but it's been pushed for years and years and years. Every time you turn on TV, this is what you're processing. I also believe that, this generation, they 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 like to kind of stray away from reality as much as possible. What do I mean by that is this: the opiate addiction is the reason is what it is because trying to stay away from reality. A lot of kids don't want to face reality, and the more they are intoxicated, high, drunk, whatever the situation is, then your decision making becomes
Wow.
less and less and less. So you're not caring if she's sick or not. You're not caring if he's sick or not. That drug is telling you just have sex and get it on. That's it.
That's
So
good.
you're not even processing, clearly anyway. So, but I agree with you though. It's still something that needs to be looked into.
It definitely needs to be looked into. And how do we go about reaching this generation? If we had to really, and it's not just young people. I mean, it's older people as well. And how do you let a person know that this one-time consequence has, this one-time decision has a lifetime consequence?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that concerns me. Um, I just don't see the concern that I would like to see, even in dating. Even in dating, there should be some type of resume that you fill out for yourself. I mean, in this age, if I was dating, I would have a resume. There's some type of resume that that person would not know, but I would know the resume. And you have to have a criteria and a standard for yourself. People can say whatever they want to say, but you have one life. You have one life to live. And so you have to make the best out of that life.
You know what I believe though? I agree with you 100%. I think the one thing that overrides all of that is one simple word: want. People can care less about what you have when you are what they want. So a woman can know a man is no good, but if she wants a man and he's available, then it's the wants. The wants supersedes, the wants overrides It's the want. Same thing with a man. Man, she a dime, but she a dime that's sick. Yeah, but I want somebody to look pretty on my arm. So I think it's just a want thing. The want always overrides, just clear thinking. I remember back in high school also, and this was effective for me. When we were in high school, I remember having the sex ed class, and they showed us what these things look like. Now, having a visual, that was enough for me to keep me straight. And you saying, what do we do? Maybe we brought it more real and more raw. Maybe we brought it the way that they're living, and just bring it raw. I mean, show them exactly this is what this looks like. Even though she looks or he looks like this today, then you fast forward the tape 4 months, 6 months later, when they're really infected and sick, and see how the body changed, how that disease eats them up, and the body deteriorates, and it'll make you think different. I would think.
Now that's good. That's a good point because I like that cigarette commercial. Now that cigarette commercial, I used to smoke,
Yeah.
but that cigarette commercial I think brings everything into play. You know, the lady that had her hair,
Yes,
she
I
began
do.
to take this off and that off and her oxygen.
Mhm.
So I think if we begin to see the ramifications, if we could see the ramifications quickly,
Mhm.
then I think our choices would be made um, not so quickly, not so spontaneously. So, and I think that a lot of it has to do, my perception of it is healing. And then if we begin to heal from the inside, then possibly we'll begin to make more conscious decisions.
Mhm.
And please don't expect anybody. And sometimes people don't even know they have it because we don't get the testing. There's no signs, there's no symptoms,
Mhm.
and until later,
Mhm.
until it's full blown. And what do we do with that? The symptoms, you don't have the symptoms.
You're right.
So, I mean, you guys, you can always chime in. Please chime in on this call.
Yes.
Nurses, doctors, those that's lonely. I just want to send just a fair warning out
Mhm.
that nobody's going to really sit down and tell you, hey, I have HIV.
Mhm.
I don't think people, you know, are like that. There are few people that would just come out and tell you that I'm going to date you and think that you'll make a real informed decision to date
Mhm.
like that.
I think some people don't feel like they're obligated to tell you that information. For example, when you have and pretty sure some people are gonna be rubbed the wrong way, but you factor in the homosexual community, the LGBTQ. Oftentimes, the transgender, they probably will tell you if asked, but if you don't inquire, then they don't provide that information. So I kind of see it as the same. It's like I don't provide that information if unless it's really warranted. Unless I mean, who really goes around asking, hey, are do you have HIV? Do you have AIDS? And most people don't do that. Like I said again, I think it's just that one thing. They want what they want.
And one of the things that was brought to our attention was by a police officer that I was talking to today earlier, and he was just saying that all the precautions that they have to go through
Mhm.
after they make an arrest with a person, or if they come in contact, even with the people that have shootings or stabbings,
Mhm.
etc., and all the extra that they have to go through.
Right.
So if the police is having to go through these extra precautions, how much more would we have to go through precautions, and they may have an hour worth of contact.
Mhm.
This is not to bash HIV and AIDS,
No.
because any one of us from past, it says it can lay dormant 7 years in your body.
Wow.
So with that being said, it's not to bash anybody, because any one of us could
Mhm. I
come
agree.
up with something today or tomorrow. But it's such at an epidemic proportion. He was telling me, and it blew me away. He said he was going in a thrift store, and it said that we do HIV testing as well
In a thrift store.
in a thrift store as well. So they had the HIV testing there. I guess assuming, I don't know how it's done with the swab or whatever. But I think that we really have to come into awareness.
Mhm.
And how many people that are sexually active have had an HIV test in the last year, in the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes nobody finds out,
Right.
but God knows.
God knows.
You know, and we can ask for forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
but there's consequences and repercussions
Absolutely.
to every action that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Call in today, or please,
True.
better yet, YouTube
True.
in, and we have Courtney over there. He's gonna write it down and bring us your questions or your statements.
Yeah. And we'll make sure we get to them.
And we're gonna get to them because we want to rap about this seriously
Mm-hmm.
today. Because and why aren't the pastors? Why aren't the pastors? And are the jobs even letting you know that this is at this level of proportion?
Right.
You know, the opiates, they're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they talking about opiates?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so much as opposed to this HIV epidemic. 90%, 70% of it, they say, is in the black community.
You know what? And you said something very important because as you were saying that, I was thinking, why not? Well, probably why not? Because opiates can be controlled. I don't think they choose to control HIV. Maybe it's a decision to allow it to run rampant for that particular purpose. And this may be getting way out of topic and subject, but I do believe in population control. And I don't find it funny or ironic that it's in the black community that this specific or particular disease is running rampant. I believe it's doing exactly what it was designed to do, and it's placed exactly where they wanted it to be. And it sounds bad, but you know what? It's being contained within that community. How do you contain something that's running so rampant? How can you contain, something that can lie dormant for 7 years? So it really goes to show. I mean, I think the power and the wisdom that a lot of people have that we really don't even know. So you're right. The way to really fight this is to educate self.
Yeah. And yeah, to really educate self. And I admonish all the pastors and all the jobs and to just begin to educate your people.
Right.
If you care about the people. And if we don't, we have to go back to the way that it used to be. And I feel that it is really up to us pastors to come out of the limelight and really get a heart back for the people and start teaching and preaching and showing our people what's out here. The pastors and the preacher's voice used to be a voice
Right.
that was well respected. This day and age, it's not as respected because we've fallen into just as much sin as the next person,
Yeah.
or
If not worse.
if not worse. So we just have to pray. We really have to pray that everybody would just begin to have a voice, to be mindful and bring a mindful awareness of this. Because if not, 1 out of 51, that means every 51st person that you meet has HIV. And that was in 2016. So we can imagine today, and our children are sexually active
Very.
earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and that one time alone could be,
Fatal.
that first time could be the last time. So we really have to, in dating, ladies and gentlemen, please begin to, when it becomes serious, if it's a serious relationship, if I asked you, okay, we were serious and you were really serious about me and we wanted to take it further, I feel like the man should care about himself enough
Right.
that he say to her, because I think we always attribute or contribute things toward the male.
Mm-hmm.
But women are doing just as much, if not more, than you. I mean, because of the statistics. So I think men try to get a woman over a barrel with the statistics, or women feel like they're over a barrel. Let me correct that, because of the statistics. Oh, it's 7-1, 7-1.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be with 2 or 3, trying to reel one.
Mm-hmm.
And so there you go. I've slept with 3 men.
Mm-hmm. You know what what it actually I was also thinking too, and this is kind of in connection with what you were saying. I remember there was a guy that kind of in our neighborhood, and it was known that he was very well liked guy, very well known. A lot of people liked him. Had a pretty wealthy for the most part as it pertains to our neighborhood, and he actually contracted the disease himself, and out of whatever he felt, maybe being upset, maybe being angry because he did catch it, or did he was infected. He actually purposely slept with as many women as he could to infect them as well, because he knew he was going to die. So his thing was to spread it as much as he could, and to purposely not share that information to them, to purposely not tell anyone, was just to do just that, was just to spread it. He was on a suicide mission and wanted to take as many people as possible. And I think that's another reason why maybe this spreads like it does, because once the individual finds out that they are infected, then instead of taking the necessary steps to take care of self, they go all out and want to kill everybody else.
Wow. Wow. I agree. So, my plea today is, and my deepest concern is, I guess to the black audience and every audience at large, but especially if it is affecting our people, then we must begin to have a concern about our people. You can say, oh, well, I'm not doing this, but you don't know what your children are doing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what your spouse is doing. Oh, they're faithful. Okay, God bless you. I mean, you can't be with that person all the time. So you don't know. So I would admonish black business owners, churches, whoever. Let's just begin to talk about it. Let's just begin to do some mentoring on that, and bring awareness to that. Let's have some fun days in a park and bring awareness to HIV.
Right.
I don't think it's that hard. Let's get with some of the foundations and bring it to the parks and the radio station here. Just have a community drive and just begin to bring awareness to the community. And maybe if we have people out there, people are afraid to go. And I'm thinking about the thrift store that had the HIV test. So maybe if there's a way that, I don't know how this works, but we'll do some research, come back and talk about it. But if there is a way to have it, then maybe we could have, like they do blood sugar tests or whatever. I don't know. I don't want to be ignorant. But if there is a way to find this out, then we can have drives in the park. We have plenty of nurses in here, in this ministry, and all over that, probably, I'm sure, and doctors as well, that would just come out and say, here, take your HIV test.
And that's a good point too that you make. I think people are very fearful, fearful of what they might find out, and fearful of, and even if they do find out, what does that actually mean? Most cases end in death, but that's not always the case. I mean, God is greater.
I mean, not even that anymore. Most cases do not end in death.
Okay.
I mean, it was a death sentence years ago, but they have so much treatment. Look at Magic Johnson and so many others that have outlived every statistic that was said. I believe that information, information is going to determine longevity. And being informed, and we have to do everything that we can to get the information out there, because you can live. I mean, if it was me, I want to live. And then also another factor is insurance. People don't have a place to go and they don't have insurance. So those are factors too. And then when you have people that are on the streets or homeless, or they don't have money and funds, and they're walking around, just because a person is homeless does not mean they're not sexually active.
Right. And that's another thing too. It's not just, HIV is not just contracted via, being intimate. It's
Needles.
also, right, needles, just fluids, coming in contact with fluids, period. So, like you said, like you was talking with the officer, that's not a case to where they're actually intimate. That could just be, carelessness, dealing with fluids, and you have a cut yourself, and it's just that mixture and that exchange. And so, but again, everyone has to be educated to know that it's beyond just intimacy. It's really being in contact. So educate what to do in a situation like that. How do you handle a situation like that if ever, you were put in a position such as that? I also agree with you about, making it fun. We have to strategize about getting the word out. And you're right, I think the thrift store is really actually a great idea
Yeah.
because it's something that you don't expect, and it's able to kind of conceal, and your privacy is still there, and no one's the wiser. So I think that's actually a great idea to whomever thought that up. That's a fantastic
It's
idea.
fantastic.
Because no one would really know why you're in there. You could be in there just buying. So that's a great idea, and I think more things like that should come up and give people more opportunities as it pertains to just being aware and knowing.
Yeah, it's very non-threatening
Right.
to go into a thrift store as opposed to going into a doctor's office and everybody's looking at you and you gotta wait to find out the diagnosis, and some things you just I don't think we want everybody to know that.
No.
No. So I think that there's a way. I'm gonna do some research and then we'll definitely try to get that together. I know you have Godfellows, and that would be a great avenue to for the mentorship. And I have a mentorship group of girls that I mentor here every Thursday. So that would be good for them when they come from the hospitals and stuff, just to begin to really be informed, because 13 and 14, a lot of them have had situations, and even in our homes, within the churches, a lot of the people have had situations, and so we do have to bring this out. And then we have a nightlife in Atlanta. We have a nightlife that is a beast in Atlanta, and people don't dress, and so everything is like right there, and it's such a variety. You have the so many sects of the community. You got the bisexual community, you got the gay community, you got the homosexual community, you got swingers community. So you've got a lot going on. And so I think everyone should go and really begin to get tested before we bring something in. And how bad would that be if we just happen to have a cut or something, or however it's transmitted? A fluid is a fluid, and we actually gave that to our kids. And those that's desiring to have kids, what if we conceive, and then we give that to our kids? So I think information, although as fearful as it can seem, knowing, I remember when I got my HIV test, I was scared. I mean, years ago, I was afraid to get that test because, you done some stuff. You haven't always been, but just being informed and coming around, it's the greatest relief is once you've had it, So what are some of the signs and what are some of the symptoms? They're so common until you would just think it's an everyday thing. Well, my immune system go down because it's an immune deficiency disease. So colds, catching colds more often, and rap, coming around. Well, could that be something? And that's why I admonish everybody. Your doctor's not going to just give you an HIV test. That's not how it works. You have to request an HIV test. You have to be prepared for the HIV test because it has to be documented, like sexually transmitted diseases. Certain things have to be documented. Certain people have to be notified. So that's another thing. And I understand the privacy that people begin to be threatened because of their privacy, because you have to inform the other person and this person.
But that would be the right thing to do.
It would be right
to go down the list, or up the list, and
sit down the list
to inform to inform everyone that So that is something. Listen, you guys, make sure that you are tuning in via YouTube. Any questions that you have, my wife and I are more than happy to answer. We'll give you the best that we have as it pertains to the information knowledge that we've obtained. But please go to YouTube, put in your questions, and we'll make sure we'll get back to you. About
Please
that.
though, because I want to know in YouTube, have you had an HIV test? I mean, and very honestly, have you had an HIV test? Just say yes or no. And have you had an HIV test? So then we don't want to be that 1 in 51
Right.
because I wasn't one that had ever had an HIV test. So not knowing, and some of us don't think we have a reason to,
Hmm.
but we don't know. I mean,
Now, I'm being transparent here, but each time in the past, I want to say a couple of years, every year I have a blood test, a blood drawn. They make sure they check for that specifically.
really,
Absolutely,
you got a great doctor.
they make sure they check for that. So when I get my numbers and everything, I go to that particular part. It's negative. Everything is good. And I do that, and I'm glad that they do that because I wasn't always safe.
Amen.
So I definitely, yeah. But so back to talking about. So yeah, but I still think it's good. I also think that in addition to having these centers set up that allow the people to kind of know, I think what's even more important is having something in place to teach the people how to deal with this now that you have it. This life change. How do you process what things to do, eating wise, exercise, and just, I mean, life changes for some people. It's like once you receive this thing mentally, it's almost like something triggers in your body and then it takes over. So you have to, what do I do? What shouldn't I do? How do things change? And we even know a young lady that was actually diagnosed. She's a woman of God that lives in Houston, and she'll give you a testimony. But she was diagnosed with HIV, and the grace of God, the power of God, totally delivered and healed her,
Dear friend.
and it was
Yes.
completely gone. So God can do it. It's not just other options. I mean, God can do it.
Yeah, God can do it. And then one of the things too is we have to be pastors. I'm sorry, we have to be pastors. No, I'm not sorry that we have to be pastors. We have to be pastors, and we have to say if you can't abstain from, ungodly, you know, lust,
Mm-hmm.
and abstain. If you can abstain, do your best to abstain. Um, I, you may make a mistake. I'm not gonna say you won't, but at least have the fear of God into you enough. And those that are cheating, Lord knows, at least if you don't respect yourself, respect your home,
Mm-hmm.
respect, um, those around you, that you don't bring that
Yeah.
into the house. You know, I was just talking to someone recently, and her husband, you know, she said her husband bought a sexually transmitted disease, but in all actuality, when the truth of the story was, she had a sexually transmitted disease. So we don't know.
Right.
You just don't know. So we have to come and just be as forthright as we possibly can, bring in awareness. And if you are out there, then I never thought I'd be one to say this, but when I saw the statistics, it's like that commercial. Strap yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
That's just being real. We're not condoning it. We're pastors, we're a godly radio station, but the truth is the truth. We're talking about safety. That's just me. Because 1 in 51. Just imagine how many people you meet, and you're sitting in church, and there's 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
1 or 2 of them have HIV.
That's something.
That's something, right?
But you know what? In addition to what you were saying, and this goes back to when I was in high school, so I'm sure it's the same now, and probably went back before then. But we knew of protection then, and we were all forewarned, to protect yourself then. But the saying then was that it don't feel good when it comes on, and I truly believe that that is still the process until this day. That even though people know to do, again, it goes back to that want. It feels good. I want to know what that feels like. And the only way to experience that is without protection. And then you have these companies that are out there and they're making, the latex a lot thinner and things of that nature. So guess that's an option, but still, do you really want to risk it?
Oh, but that's so retarded.
Just saying.
If you don't know what it feels like, be after, I mean, I understand that concept that people say,
Right.
but isn't that something wrong with that? After umpteen years, and you want to risk your lifetime, I want to know what it feels like.
Yeah, but that's the process.
I
you That is
know.
honestly the
I've
process.
heard that,
Yeah.
and every time I do the same reaction. I'm sorry.
That is honestly the process.
You know, I do the same reaction. I'm like, ah.
But again, then, and so you have to factor in, and that's why I say again about that want, the want. When you want what you want, you'll do what you do, and you'll avoid all precaution. You'll avoid all defense and offense. You'll avoid everything to get exactly what you want. No matter the risk, you'll do what it takes because it's what you want.
No, I was talking to somebody recently, and they said, I was praying before I did this particular sin that if God don't want me to do it, that He'll stop it from happening.
I say that because I don't say some foolish stuff like that too. No, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work.
If God don't want me to do it.
No.
No, God gives us all free will.
Yeah, common sense.
And He's not going to come in with a bolt of lightning and
Mhm.
say, stop my child.
Common sense. Common sense.
Common sense.
Common
So
sense.
we just really encouraging people to keep it real. We trying to make laughter, make it light, but it's a real and it's a true statement. May not be getting any responses about this. We're in different locations, so we may not be able to get the calls. But I promise you, it's really time. If you haven't, make sure you go and just get yourself checked. Don't be afraid. Face our fears, and then we praise God that we don't, and then we praise God if we do. That before it could manifest, that we still could live a life. But then, now that we know statistically, if you're more informed, I don't think about it because I'm married. But then that's not even a safe thing to say. I'm not gonna think about it because I'm married, because anything can happen.
Yeah.
Right.
I told you I was off the chain years ago. So you're right. But yeah.
I mean, but anything can happen. So my thing is just go and get ourselves checked, and the officials and ourselves, we begin to inform ourselves, the radio station, the TV stations. I hope we'll start to see more ads. And I wonder why we haven't seen more ads about the epidemic. Well, we did see it at one point
I can tell
with
you.
Alicia Keys and a couple of other people that were talking. So why don't we see more ads about this?
You wanna know why?
Why?
You should.
Kill more people.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because ignorance is profitable.
Good point. Ignorance
It's
is
profitable.
profitable.
Go back to what we were just talking about earlier. When you mentioned strip clubs, when you mentioned, the gay places, when you mentioned the swing places, those places would not be as profitable as they are if they was always pushing protection. People don't want to hear that. So ignorance is profitable. If I know I can come in and be risky and do what I want the way I want, then you'll make money. Ignorance is very profitable. Makes a lot of money every day.
That's an ad right
Probably
there.
$1 billion a day.
Wow.
If I was president ignorant, I'd make a lot of money.
And do you think that the porn being so available
Oh, yeah.
has contributed to this factor as well?
Absolutely. Because again, that's an industry that's they're affected too now. That industry is affected too by by HIV and AIDS. But just viewing it and watching it, that's all you're seeing. You're seeing individuals be intimate with no protection. So you carry that image and you take it with you, thinking that you can do the same thing, not knowing that the numerous tests that maybe they had to go through prior to whatever you were watching. So I would assume, I would like to believe that they would be tested prior to that. Then again, I don't know. But like you say, if the lie's dormant for 7 years, then who's to say?
Who's to say?
Mm-hmm.
So then I guess the younger,
Mm-hmm.
because of the porn,
Mhm.
and the more available,
Right.
then we'll start to see more youth
Mhm.
getting involved in contracting HIV. The more, 14, 15, 16. We'll start to see that more if we do not A lot of people don't think that their children are having sex, which is amazing to me. Because you send them to school, they don't think they're having sex. Or, well, I picked them up from school. That doesn't mean they've been at school all day. Come on, people, remember what we did. Remember what we did.
Yeah, and even if they are in school, they're probably having sex in school.
Well, we did that too.
It's possible, trust me.
So, I mean, it's just something we really, really, really have to get with our officials, our local officials, our city council, and begin to bring awareness. I think that the medium and the forum that we have here, 108 Praise, is an awesome forum to begin to bring awareness to so many things. So I'm just really praying about this, and I'm praying for our great city of Atlanta, and I'm also pleading with the rappers, because we have an awesome entertainment community here.
Yeah.
We have an awesome entertainment rappers and everyone else, that we get together and just bring awareness. Sometimes it's not about making money. Sometimes it's about just giving to the people that are common, everyday people that don't have the opportunities. They don't have that. And what about the people that are, they're suffering with mental illnesses, and they're out on the streets, so they don't know, or they're manic and they're up and they're down, and in their manic moments they seem like jovial people, and they're having a good time with them, but they're HIV positive, and then they're manic depressive or bipolar. So we have to deal with all forms in a community. So you got the swingers, we got the mental illness that's in the community that's not being treated.
Right.
So there's so many things that we wanted to bring a very sober message today about AIDS and HIV, statistically speaking. We pray that our mayor, we pray that, again, that city council and so many other ones and foundations would begin to bring more awareness to, and TV even would bring more awareness to it. And so that we can, I do believe that it's very much a spiritual thing, because how do we keep doing stuff when we become aware of it, but yet, isn't it like playing Russian roulette?
Yeah.
Do we have a death wish in some way, subconsciously, if we're miserable up underneath that? So also, on top of doing what we need to do out in it, or making awareness, then we need to begin to just, as we bring into counseling, as counselors, as professional counselors, bring in people and just begin to heal from the inside. Because if you don't heal from the inside, you'll always be looking for an outside fix.
That's true.
And so we need to pray and get the people in so that they can heal from the inside out.
I do agree. You definitely have to make it more to where, like you said, that people can be united and start involving more of the community, involving very prominent people. They don't just have that position for no reason. Like really take advantage of the stage, really take advantage of the audience that you have, and sow something into them positive that'll take them, it'll take them beyond. But I do have a question I wanted to ask you. I'm not a nurse. I know you've had a lot of experience in that field. Is it possible for a woman to be pregnant and birth a child, and the child has HIV if she's infected?
Absolutely. It's usually that's what happens, is if the mother has it, the child. It's rare that the child wouldn't, because the blood, and the woman that carried it. So we would have to pray. We would just have to pray. Absolutely, we definitely have to pray for those situations, just like drugs that be in the body. The woman that carries it, if she's infected, then the baby definitely has the tendency, the propensity to be infected with that same disease. So there's a lot of babies born with HIV.
Wow.
Yeah, they're birthed and, they came out like that. But, I remember the little girl, maybe, I can't remember her name, but years ago on a TV show, she was on and she was had HIV, but because of the medicine and etc., now she's living a productive life. She's in college, so many things have happened to make things different. So that's what we wanted to do tonight. We just truly, truly, truly wanted to bring awareness and encouragement to everyone about, hey, this is out here. There's a way. There is a plan. We need to let everybody know,
Hmm.
husbands and wives, it's okay.
Yeah. And definitely know that it is okay to get checked out. It is okay to know. It's okay to make yourself aware. Like my wife and I were saying, well, like she was saying earlier today, that we are in no way trying to bash. We are in no way, attempting to make anyone that is fighting this or battling this to feel any kind of way negatively. We're just trying to enlighten and bring awareness to everyone, including the individual that's battling with it, to let you know that life is not over. Although the doctors say what they say, they are not God. God has the last say so, and God can do it. There's no doubt about it. So we just encourage you guys to keep pressing. If that is you today that's out there and you're fighting hard, continue to keep fighting. Press, pray, fast. Know that God is more than capable and able to do all things, and continue to be encouraged. And for those of you guys that are listening, stop living so carelessly. If you have not contracted it, and stop living so carelessly. Take this life, for what it is. You only have one. Don't take it for granted. So, we just really pray that you guys are informed and enlightened.
Yeah. Especially our youth, because it's so much available, and the things that they have, that's available to them, were not available to the previous generation.
Mm-hmm.
So the likelihood of things escalating is, much more higher. But because they have to deal with drugs, they have to deal with porn. Well, there's no way I mean, the most we got was a Playboy book up under somebody's bed
That
or
was
something.
your generation? Yeah. My
There's a lot.
generation, yeah, more than the magazine.
But there's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
but this generation has more, and they're tech savvy.
Right.
That's my point. They're tech savvy.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't even know where to look. We don't even know how to hide stuff the way that they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. This generation, we don't. They you can't find stuff on their computer. They know how to hide stuff.
Right. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, it has been, an elevation, and I just kind of made light of it, but, it started with magazines and magazines to movies. Now you actually have social media, and they are actually viewing people live. This is not some pre-recorded, pre-taped. So it's actually, occurring right then and there. Virtual, the little virtual things that they have. They actually have video games, virtual.
Mhm.
So it's again, it's an attempt to really assassinate the generation. I mean, that's how I see it.
Yeah. And I just find it fascinating, out of all of Atlanta and the things that's in here, that the population, 70% of these are diagnosed
Mm-hmm.
from the CDC's statistics. These are not our statistics. These are not church statistics. This is not a 108. This is not a magazine. This is the Center of Disease Control statistics that says 70% of it was in the black
Mm-hmm.
community.
Mhm.
70%. So 51, 1 in 51 people that you meet
Mm.
will have HIV. So that's a lot to think about. It's a lot to be informed about.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that, I think we're gonna end our show tonight. How about that?
Okay.
We're gonna come to a ending, because we want it to be a sober, very, very, very sober thought. Please, we want to encourage you, go get your HIV test. Go get your HIV test. Be encouraged
Mm-hmm.
tonight. And be sober. Women, please go and get ourselves checked. Because if we're the number one carriers of this, we're the number ones to be infected because of the way of our bodies, then we must begin to take care of ourselves. because more often than not, a lot of the women are single women. And so single women, if something happens to you, your children are left and nobody, I mean, I'm not standing in line to get kids, I don't think anybody's standing in line to take care of anybody's kids. So with that, we just wanted to bring awareness, and with the women, we just say, take care of yourself, and I'll leave you to say something to the men.
And also with the men, again, go get yourself checked out. And like I was speaking earlier, if that is you, that's dealing with this, you know, don't don't position everyone else because of one mistake that you made. Do the right thing and go be seen. Take the necessary steps to get yourself better, and to not make it a job or to make it a thing to infect as many others because you feel like that you won't live long. So do the right thing. Respect life for what it is. So yeah.
Yep.
So with that, we thank you. We pray that you enjoyed tonight's show. Again, you can catch us here every Wednesday night on 108 Praise Radio. Continue to follow this station. This station is doing great things, doing many, many things. You can catch us all over the place. So continue to follow 108 Praise Radio. Straight up, no chaser. Pastor Nick and my awesome wife.
Dr. Rhonda Travis.
And if you cannot tune in on Wednesday, you can catch us Sunday. We actually have church on Sunday at 108 Praise. And then Restoring the Years Global Ministries, 1000 Car Parkway, North Sweet Sea, Marietta, Georgia. You can always check us there. And Sunday or Friday. And we also have our Men's Summit coming
right?
up. What is Man? Our 8th annual Men's Summit is coming up February 24th in 3 weeks. So it's from 9:30 to 3. Any guys that are listening, tuning in, come and check us out. Only $10. I guarantee you'll be blessed. Wonderful time.
Oh yeah, the ladies. We have Queens and Rubies every once a month. Queens and Rubies. We meet together, and it's a group of women that are empowered, knowing that we are queens and rubies have great names, and so come out and be empowered. Last time we had about 47 women. So February 10th, this coming Saturday at 11 a.m. we'll be at 1000 Cobb Parkway, Sweet Sea as well. Please join us and bring a friend, and we will talk to you soon.
See you soon. God bless.
Bye.